Alright everyone, this week we will be continuing our Artemis Fowl book review with Artemis Fowl Book 5, The Lost Colony. If you guys have been enjoying these book reviews, please do not forget, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss anything. So, as always, format for the book review, summary of the story, pros, cons, and then my final thought and ranking of the book. With all that out of the way, let's hit the intro. After months of inactivity, Holly doing her private detective thing with Mulch, and Artemis back at school and getting really bored with being a regular kid, they are finally brought in for a new dangerous mission involving one of the fairy families that has been lost forever, the Demons. The Deamon Island of Hybris has been pulled out of time and is just kind of sitting in limbo, but the spell that's keeping Hybris in limbo is starting to break down, so it's up to Artemis, Holly, and the others to find a way to rescue all the demons for them not to just randomly appear all over the earth and cause mass chaos. But our group is not the only group that's after the demons, and it is a race against time to figure out what to do. Starting off with the pros section, I'm going to be talking about the relationship between Artemis and Minerva. Throughout the book, we meet another young genius girl named Minerva, and Artemis and Minerva really start to hit it off. They become really good friends after the book, but I really kind of like what Colfer did because Artemis really starts to get distracted by Minerva as he's entering that stage of his life. I feel like Colfer captures the sort of awkwardness of that stage in life that Artemis is entering quite well. Colfer does a really good job just showing that Artemis is starting to really get distracted by Minerva, really starting to take an interest and doing his best to hold himself back, but he really can't help himself. Colfer, I think, does a very good job at just capturing that and capturing Artemis's just pure annoyance at what's going on. Artemis knows he can't control it, but he really wish he could. And Colfer, I think, captures that absolutely perfectly. And because of that awkwardness between the two of them, there are some really funny exchanges. Again, I really cannot thank Colfer enough for making this relationship between the two of them as funny and awkward as it is, because it really is very relatable. And normally I don't love stuff like this in books, but I feel like Colfer's writing is good enough that I can overlook. It's not a very major part of the book. It's there in the background, but it never overtakes the main focus of the book overall. I really do commend Colfer for being able to find that balance, because sometimes it can go overboard, and I really feel like Colfer did find a good balance between the relationship between Artemis and Minerva and the overall story, and I really do commend him for finding that balance. Second thing I'm going to be talking about for the pros section is how Colfer writes number 1 in the book. So number 1 is one of the demons that we follow throughout the book, and he is not like the other demons. The other demons go through what they call warping, which is basically their version of puberty, where they just get like really hulking big and super aggressive. But number 1 doesn't go through that process because he is not a demon. I'm not going to spoil the big reveal if you want to read the book yourself, but number 1 does feel very out of place and awkward with the other demons because he is not a regular demon. Again, I'm not going to say it if you want to read the book yourself. But Colfer, I think, also does a very good job at capturing sort of the awkwardness and fear and just anxiety number 1 feels from being considered the outcast of the demon pride. He does a very good job at that. We've all, I think, had a situation where we've felt like this, and Colfer, I think, does capture this very well in general. And I do very much commend Colfer for being able to do that and being able to write such a funny character, because number 1 honestly does have some very funny lines, particularly when he meets Artemis and Holly and everyone else. He starts to get very funny, and that is very much thanks to Colfer's writing, and I do feel like Colfer did a very good job with number 1 to make him one of the highlights of this book. Last thing I'm going to talk about is the book's ending. I'm going to be talking again about the ending of this book. If you guys want to read the book for yourselves and not get spoiled for the ending, I'll put a time code at the bottom you guys can jump to, so you guys do not get spoiled with the big crazy reveal at the end of this book that I'm going to be talking about. So, I'm assuming if you guys are staying, you guys are fine with spoilers, so let's get right into what I want to talk about this ending. The ending of this book is crazy and very well written for me because one of two things. One, the fact that we time jump 5 years, and two, Artemis's pure reaction to the fact that the world had moved on without him for 5 whole years. He had missed 5 years of his entire life. The way Colfer writes Artemis's reaction to all that absolutely is perfect. It's absolutely just, I think, how everyone would react. The way Artemis reacts, I feel like, is how I personally would react, and probably how everyone would react. Just this pure shock of, holy cow, we just went through 5 whole years and I was not there. Artemis's shock is truly genuine and just truly how everyone else would react. And the kicker on top of it is, it reveals that he now has twin brothers, and his shock at that is also very well written, because if we just somehow skipped 5 whole years and found out that now we suddenly have new siblings, I feel like we would be very shocked. And I do like how Colfer wrote Artemis's reaction to all that. It is just perfect, and I feel like this is one of the top endings for the Artemis Fowl series. There are some fairly good endings, but I feel like this one is definitely one of the better ones of the series. So, jumping to the con section, the only real con I can think about is this book not having any sort of real central villain. The one thing I did notice about this book is that this book really doesn't have one central antagonist. It has 3. For the first little bit of the book, it's Minerva. Second bit of the book, it's Kong. And then for the last bit, it's Albert. And kind of each of them are the villains for a different stage of the book. And I kind of feel like this book would have been better if we'd cut out Billy Kong altogether, because he's the villain for probably the shortest amount of the book when Minerva's the villain, but he doesn't really do a whole lot. It's not until when they rescue number 1 that Billy really becomes the villain, until he's dealt with, and then they jump to Hybris. And then we jump to Albert being the main villain. But I kind of question, was Billy Kong really needed? I don't necessarily think so. If Colfer cut out Kong, I don't think the story would suffer too much either way. Keeping him in, it's fine, the book's good, but if we take him out, we sort of have more room to breathe and let Albert or Minerva take up the time that Billy becomes the villain. I mean, I'm fine with Colfer had kept Billy or taken him out. It doesn't really matter altogether. I just feel like this book could have benefited, I guess, from a more focused villain. But otherwise, this book is really good. Guys, final thoughts on the book here. I really do like this book. I feel like Colfer is finally back to form with Lost Colony, because if you watched my Opel Deception review, I don't know what it was about Opel Deception. There was just something missing from Opel Deception. I don't know what it is. There's just something missing from Opel Deception that was in the first 3 books that made them so memorable. But I feel like Lost Colony, Colfer finally, I think, hit his stride again, and the series is back on track as far as being really good. So I really do recommend this book if you guys have enjoyed the Artemis Fowl series. Artemis Fowl is definitely back to form as a series with this book after kind of stumbling a little bit with Opal Deception. Those are just my final thoughts on the book. I'm going to give Lost Colony an 8 out of 10. Down in the comments if you've read Lost Colony before or any of the other Artemis Fowl books. Leave your thoughts down in the comments section and I will totally be happy to read them and discuss the book or the series in general with anyone. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please do not forget, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss anything. So, as always, if you guys want to follow me on social media, my Instagram is Riley Murray Book Reviews, and my Twitter is Riley T. Murray. As always, I will leave links to those accounts down in the description. If you guys missed my big announcement last video, I started a second YouTube channel, which is a gaming channel called Ghost Gaming. I will leave a link to that down in the comments so you can go and check out that channel and see if you guys want to subscribe to it. Down in the comments, if you guys have books you want me to do reviews on in the future, please leave them down in the comments. Alright everyone, have a great day, and don't forget, keep on reading.